Yeah.
I can do anything, yeah. Hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no. I can do anything, yeah. Hell no, hell no, hell no, hell no. I can do anything, yeah. Hell no, hell no.
If y'all want to dance or have any music requests after that, please let me know. The DJ, so I'll be happy to do that for you. But without further ado, go ahead, Lucy.
Okay. So, Naomi, when did you decide that you wanted to pass the BS?
It started about a year ago. If y'all didn't hear the question, you asked me when did I decide to write past the BS. It was supposed to be a blog post. I have a blog called allshewore.com, and I had a close friend who was writing a blog as well, and it was about how she transitioned into corporate America. And I was like, oh, that's nice. You know, I think I transitioned pretty well, although it was kind of bad starting it off. And I was like, I think I'm gonna do the same thing. And I started typing it up, and then I was like, wait, how did I get to that? Like, you know, what was the emotion that I felt? And that just kept happening after every point. Before I knew it, I looked up and I had 20 pages written. And I was like, I can't stop here. You know, like there's so much more that I felt like I had to say. And before I knew it, I looked up again and I had like 80 pages written. And I was like, I think I'm gonna do like a small book. And then I was like, well, you know, I'm a creature of habit, so now that I started, I have to finish it out. So that's how I kind of got started.
How hard was it for you to sit down and start writing?
It really wasn't hard at all. I actually took some of the previous blog posts that I had and combined it at first. And then at work, Sharon, you know better than anybody in here, I just went through so much at my job, and I didn't really know anybody. I was the youngest person there, and it wasn't that many black people either, so I felt like I had nobody to talk to. So I would literally just sit there and start typing, and I would hear stuff going on, and I'm just like, no, you didn't. Just sit there and ask her how she got to this country. And I just started typing, and I'm like, Naomi, what are you doing? Working. And it was just so like simple to me. I actually didn't type my entire book. I actually talked it into my phone and emailed it to myself. That was the simplest thing for me to do because I had so much to say that I hate typing and I hate reading my own words, but it was easy for me to talk. So I used a little talk button on my phone, and I'll just sit in my car in traffic and just talk about what happened, you know, during my day.
Do you feel like past the BS is relatable?
I do. I really, really do. Everyone in here is a person of color and they're a minority, and I feel like it doesn't just relate to college students, it also relates to younger kids and older kids as well. I think everybody in this room has had a corporate job and has had people talk to them in a certain kind of way that was like derogatory or, why am I starting writing?
It's the truth.
True. Or, you know, just like bad experiences. And I feel like for every person that I talk about in my book that affected me in some kind of way, somebody in this room probably also has worked with a person like that as well. So it's not just about, you know, how to handle your finances or, you know, moving back home after college. It's about, you know, what we deal with at work every day.
Okay, so it's my last question.
Okay.
Do you have any advice that you would like to give to aspiring writers?
Ooh, take your time. Don't tell anybody what you're doing until you're absolutely sure. Because where I think I went wrong, but not really, like I know myself pretty well, I work based off deadlines. So when I initially said my book is coming out this summer, I wasn't even completely finished with it yet. I just knew that I had to say something or else I wasn't going to be hard on myself. Like I would probably still sit back and like, oh no, I'll add more, and not ever really finished. So that would be one thing for sure. And to just like speak your heart, don't really worry about what others have to say. It's your story, not theirs, and no one else can tell it better than you.
Your experience, which you're speaking of at your workplace, how did you keep all of that in? I mean,
did not know all that was going on. It was, so how did you keep it to yourself and just put it in a book the way that you did? It was very scribe perfect.
Well, because I was talking about people who I knew, so I had to be discreet in some kind of way. But, I don't know, it was really, really hard because I wanted to tell so many people. But I knew that I had to be secretive about it. Like one of my coworkers, I think last week, just who I actually talked about in my book, liked one of my pictures. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Hi, Joe, this is another one of my coworkers. Come on in, friend. So I knew that I had to be secretive about it until I was 100% ready. And for those of y'all who know, I don't work there anymore, thank God. But I knew that I had to be quiet up until I was just absolutely ready. So I only told like a specific amount of people about it. Yeah, but it was hard. Yeah.
Well, as far as writing the book, what would you say was the most challenging part about completing it?
The most challenging part about completing it, everything. To be a little bit more specific, it was the editing part of it. If you follow me on social media, you know I went through like a lot with the editing. There is mistakes in here already. It's 3 of them. I fixed it on the ebook, but not in here. Just trying to get people to understand what I was saying. If you read the disclaimer, I say that I write like I talk. So I'll put things in there like, that's a doggone shame. And no, the hell he didn't. Or I'll say like gonna, tryna, or finna, you know, like we don't, black people, we don't put the ER on everything. So when I sent it to the first editor, they were like, what is a doggone shame? Did you mean to say that? And this sentence doesn't make any sense. And I was like, yes, it does. What are you talking about? They didn't understand what I was saying. It was like that language barrier. So then I sent it to the next editor, and they were like, oh, this is so great. And I was like, I know it's great. Now just tell me what's wrong with it, you know? That was definitely the hardest part, I say. And then reading my own book. I hate reading books. So I got a lot of anxiety reading my own. I did, like, I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, I have to go back and read the whole second section. Like, I can't do it. I can't. So I hurried up and sent it to another editor. But I say the editing was the hardest part.
Because I think I got a copy.
Yeah.
So I've known you for a very long time, and every now and then when we'll get together, we'll talk and just do small catch up, and there's always something new that is occurring, and it's a great thing to see. What more can we expect from you in the future with this? Do you think that you will, because this is already done, this is present, but can you give us maybe a little bit of what we can expect to come?
Yes. Since I've written this book, I've had about 7 people out of the woodworks reach out to me and tell me, oh my God, like I'm thinking about writing a book. Like, what did you do and how did you do it and where do I go? For those of you who don't know, I self-published my book, so I own all the rights. I did the ISBN, the copyright, everything is done by me, my business, All She and Company. I didn't want anybody else to own that, but it was extremely difficult because so many people will lead you to go to distribution companies, and they wanted to charge me $1,200 just to do the cover, put the book together, and then distribute it to like Amazon or Barnes and Nobles, but that didn't include editing or formatting, which would have been another $2,000 on top of that. So I was like, there has to be another way that I can do this. So everything that I've learned along the way, I'm thinking about doing a writers group where other people can come to me, and I can also give them different resources where they can, just understand the process that I did. I'm actually going to start it on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. Well, I'll literally explain all the processes that I went through. I'm also going to go to other colleges and hopefully high schools too. And I've already kind of started, but with conversations with my friend Chris, I'm going to be writing another book within the next 6 years.
Yeah.
All right. Good job.
I'll take one more. Yes.
What would you say your experience
for someone who just passed, going to college, and then coming out aside of corporate America? What would you tell that person, a 15-year-old, who's just kind of doing the stories but not really taking it seriously? What would be the route?
Definitely take it seriously. But also understand that God's timing is not your timing. I think when I got out, I was expecting for everything to happen like in 5 seconds, and it just doesn't work that way. I had to have faith of a mustard seed. That's all I always remind myself, that faith of a mustard seed and patience. And I pray for that all the time. And it just kind of all, works itself out. I'm always crying. But I'd say that was probably the biggest thing. And you have to understand that it's nothing but competition out here. One of the hardest things that I dealt with coming into the workplace was in high school. I grew up around nothing but Black people or Hispanics or minorities. But then once I got to corporate America, none of them looked like me. And they were like Trump supporters, or I talk about it in my book, but it's just I didn't know how to connect with them. So I definitely had to get out my comfort zone, network with more people, learn how to be comfortable being around adults. And once I was able to do that, then it got easier for me. I gotta stop crying. I can't read it. Okay. So in the book, I'm reading from page 112. And this section is called privilege. There was a video that I saw on Facebook that I believe explained privilege perfectly. The man in charge of this experiment asked a bunch of young adults questions. If the questions applied to them, he would tell them to step forward. After so many questions, he would yell, "Go." They would run to the finish line. He asked, how many people have lost friends to gun violence? Only a few, many of whom were minorities, stepped forward. Then he asked, how many grew up in a 2-parent home? A large number walked up. The majority were white. He asked, how many of you have parents who put money away into a college fund? A large number stepped up. Again, the majority were white. Then he asked, how many were able to get tutors? Again, the majority who stepped up were white. The few who were Black remained in the far back of the group. He asked a few other questions that divided the gap even more. After so many questions, he yelled, "Go." The students ran to the finish line to claim their prize. Surprisingly, one of the boys, who was in the very back, won the entire race. He was Black. The message this experiment portrayed is that most of the participants were privileged enough to receive valuable resources that would further enhance the outcome of their future. The young adults in the back of the group were less fortunate. They either did not have the access to resources that their counterparts had, or they did not have the funds. However, they still somehow ended up in the front. This experiment goes to say that it doesn't matter where you are in your journey or how far back you are on your board game of chess. You can still win if you are determined to do so. As minorities, we experience constant, systematic, repeated oppression, even in this day and time. The system was not always designed for us to win. For years, whether you were Black, Hispanic, or Asian, we were deferred from having greater opportunities. African Americans at one point in time weren't allowed to read, write, marry, or receive an equivalent education to white Americans. Hispanics went through their own oppression, and so did Asians. Some Asians were forced into concentration camps in California and were forced to build the nation's railroad tracks. I remember my grandmother telling me that when she was little, going to elementary school, that she could see the buses coming in with hand-down books from the white schools. Some of the pages were ripped out. Their desks were rugged and worn down. The schoolhouses were not up to code. However, they still prevailed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the section for privilege, and that's a part of the game of chess. So a couple of the sections that I wrote were, the first half is how I grew up and, kind of things that I faced, because although I write, as a person of color, obviously I don't act Black. probably more on the white side, but I still consider myself African American, and how that affected me, you know, going through high school and college. And that also includes what I went through at work every day, so it's like my work diary. The second half is how I transitioned more so, and that includes me, you know, expressing my morals and how I feel about being financially stable, and, you know, the lessons that I think children in high school, college students, and parents need to learn, and what I think kind of hinders us in every step of a child's growth from childhood to college, and then as well as the parents, which is why I think everybody can benefit from my book.